No, no. What about deadlifters?
Well, Heisey was always
That
pretty
sticks
impressive.
out in my mind too, right?
He'd go to a meet and he just feel like he's like 3 feet taller than
Enormous,
everybody.
enormous.
He's just a
Yeah.
crane, just a giant guy, and a very nice guy. And he really put up some weight. So Gary Frank, I mean, he for the way he was built, I think he did amazingly. And then Bolton is just obviously in a world by himself.
Right.
You see how the weight moves once he pulls it off the ground. It's just astonishing. He doesn't look like he's got the leverages, but it's obviously there for him. So.
Something must be to pull 1,000 pounds. I never thought I'd see it in my lifetime, but that's
just to hold on to it.
Right.
That's just
the hand strength. Here's a guy you don't want to grab you.
Right.
Be a long day.
Now, not to come out of order, but the last, some of the greatest squatters. Well, just names come to mind. I mean, not to be overanalyzing. I mean, just people you come to mind who you just,
Well, I like Donnie Thompson. I mean, everybody complains, he squats high and stuff like that. But I think among the modern guys, I admire, the way he lifts. And Gary, too, but he just played with weights, Gary Frank. And, I haven't seen all the really great ones, but the guys, the recent guys, I have a lot of admiration for them. Of course, the people that came before, Waddington, I always thought he was an amazing squatter, and seldom got a big lift passed. But, and he did get credit for being the first to go over 1,000. So.
Now, what, actually, that, and folks, I'm going to put that out there because I want you to do the research and find out. But, Mike, since I have you on the line here, who was the official first person to squat 1,000 pounds? Was it Waddington? Was it Moran?
No, Waddington.
What was the story behind
Waddington
that?
did it. He did it at a,
backyard meet.
Ohio.
That was the criticism of the backyard meet, right?
There was that criticism. I'm trying to think about a big meet. Certainly Lee's meet lift was one of the first handful. I'm not sure it was the very first one at a national or world meet.
Really? I thought Lee Moran's was really the first. I knew there was a. What was this other guy? JoJo White? Is that right?
I don't know if JoJo ever squatted.
I don't think JoJo White got credit for it. I know he attempted it, but he didn't get credit for it. Waddington was first, but it was a backyard meet. Then Moran, I think, was the first who did it at a nationals.
Yeah,
at like what was considered to be a big, a legit, quote unquote legit meet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Right. I know.
He had Bob Packer as a head judge. I guess that counts.
Well, Moran had a lot of coverage. I remember in Muscle and Fitness and some other magazines. I read, coverage of him doing that 1,000. It was like in Muscle and Fitness. I don't know why I keep thinking Muscle and Fitness too, but of course it was in PLUSA, but it was in Muscle and Fitness and some of the bigger ones.
Yeah, I think we sent our pictures to them. I used to send pictures to Weir back then, so that may be what you're recalling.
Right.
Let me ask you this: when me and Jamie had a little bit of a different opinion on the following guy because I think he wrote a couple things about Jamie that Jamie didn't find flattering, but he always wrote great stuff about me. So I loved him. Yeah, I used to buy him. I'd make sure I bought him breakfast every time I saw him. When Herb Brenner had his stroke?
I'm not laughing at that. I'm just laughing about what you were talking about.
How did that affect the magazine? To me, that was a big loss because I used to love reading Herb's.
Yeah, it is. I mean, there's only one Herb. He's just an icon, and it did. I mean, I used to send him to a lot of meets, and the stories he'd write were extensive, and he did mention everybody's name, and he was good friends with almost all the lifters at the meets. It was a big blow. And then since then, and not too long ago, he had another stroke, and he's bedridden now.
Again, I just wondered about him because I haven't heard hide nor hair from him or anything about him. I've been out for a while myself. So I just was wondering if he was still with us. I didn't even know if he was still with us or not. So
yeah, well, he was in kind of a low-end retirement place for a while because he just has Social Security going for him. And then he's had this other stroke, and he's bedridden, so he's in a nursing home, and he's not in great health.
I'm sorry to hear that. So
Well, listen, I'm going to get to a couple of things that are semi-controversial, I guess. To me, they're not, but I don't think they will be to you. But one of the big questions over the years of the guys on the internet and stuff, and it's been a complaint from more of the single-ply guys and the drug-free guys, is the top 100 list. There always has been a lot of complaining about how can you compare a guy who's wearing, a double-ply briefs and a canvas suit to a guy who's, and they claim the judging and whatever. Do you think that the top 100 list should be broken up, or is it so difficult because there's so many different styles of lifting that you would have 500 top 100 lists in the magazine?
Well, another good question, and we've thought about it a lot. There are so many divisions or potential divisions that you could create or do rankings on. And, of course, some of the federations themselves do their own rankings, so that sort of covers that ground. Of course, there's more than one Raw federation, for example. But the reason I haven't really changed the top 100 is because I sort of think of it as a sort of a measuring stick and something that sort of brings things together rather than divides them up. And that's, I know there is controversy about that, but I'd rather unify than divide.
Do you, you've been around the sport obviously for a long time. Do you feel that the innovations in gear, some people say it's evolution of the sport, some people say it's the de-evolution of the sport, whatever, does that bother you? Do you think that that's just the nature of all sports, or what is your opinion on something like that?
Well, I wouldn't say that it bothers me, although sometimes you can take things to an extreme, and some powerlifters do. The perspective I use, I used to be a big fan of track and field, and not every event, of course, is like this, but the pole vault, and they used to vault on bamboo poles and aluminum poles and fiberglass poles and now composite poles, and obviously it had a fact. It was part of the performance. They put 5 feet or something on the world record doing that, and I honestly never heard anybody complain about it in track and field. So I think the equipment is part of the deal. Now, obviously, raw lifters want to do it their way. That's fine, but I think as long as the equipment is defined as what's okay, what isn't, and people at a given platform are lifting on equal terms, or at least they understand, what the deal is, then that's good enough. And I don't know if there's a parallel in some other sport where you've just taken equipment completely out of the picture and it's been better. So. Right. But powerlifting offers everybody an opportunity to lift whatever way they want, single, multiply, raw, whatever. And so people have their avenue to express themselves in whatever format they want. So I think that's healthy in a sense and good.
I think that's well said, Mike. I think it's very well said. Well, here's another question. You're getting interrogated. What is your view on drug testing in powerlifting?
Well, I don't think it's perfect, obviously. I think it's just kind of like a control measure. I mean, it's like law enforcement, sort of in a general sense. The public wants a certain level of control on things. And that's not to say that in any area that 100% of the people do things the way they're supposed to. But with all its imperfections and technical problems and so forth, I think it does sort of even the playing field to a degree. I mean, I don't think it's appropriate just to look at what the problems are in drug testing or the theoretical problems. I think you got to look at the overall picture, and if it's to sort of control drug use in sports, it sort of does that.
Well, let me rephrase that question, Mike. I might have misled you with the question. What are your views on just the open divisions, compared to the drug? I mean, as far as how do you feel about lifters who openly take that lift in these federations that they're not tested. How do you feel about that? Per se, in the sport of powerlifting.
Well, I mean, it's sort of a public relations time bomb that explodes once in a while. It's not a good, in the general public's eye, it's not a good thing. In the untested federations, I mean, that's where you expect people to be using steroids. But I don't go around pointing fingers or anything like that. I mean, I'm not in a position to know because there's no testing.
Right.
And it's a crime basically on the federal level, and I think in every state it's either a misdemeanor or a low-degree felony. So you need to know what you're talking about before you start naming names and things like that. But I don't think it's public relations-wise, it's bad. I'm not one of these people who think if you take a steroid, it's poison and you're going to die. Steroids they're basically analogs of testosterone, which is a natural hormone. Everybody's got it in them, and so it's a little bit different than some social drug or something which is meant to intoxicate or get high or something like that.
Okay. Well, I mean, I was just pretty.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to ask. The magazine lately has gotten. It almost seems that you've changed it again, where it's gotten a lot thicker. Seems to be a lot more information. Was that a conscious decision on your part, or because all of a sudden, like about how many? How did you think that was the case, Jamie? About six issues ago, about you think?
I mean, I would say. I mean, I've been out for a while, but one thing I've noticed,
it almost looks like you have a different paper now.
I was going to say the cover is really nice, right? The cover's really nice. That's really
we changed. We redid the magazine was essentially redesigned with the May issue, and it has. It's all because of our new graphic designer Kelly, who is happens to be my son's fiance. She's a real mover and shaker. She gets things done, and we've been talking about we'll redesign, we got to upgrade this, that, and the other, and never actually did anything. And she just said, "Oh yeah, I'm going to redesign it," and she did it. And we did add a few more pages, and the binding is different. It's what's called perfect binding. It does give a little more heft, and it looks a little bit thicker than the old stapled or stitch binding. So it is more pages. The paper is matte versus the glossy we used for so many years, and it's just a different look and a different feel. And I am very pleased with what Kelly came up with. She's a very a bright designer.
It really is good. I mean, I was shocked the first issue. I was like, oh my God, what happened to Powerlifting USA? It's like it looks like almost like a muscular development is so thick. It's great.
Right. I mean, again, like I said, to be able to write for you, Mike. I mean, again, it's a treat just every month, just to come up with stuff that to share with the powerlifting world and be a part of that tradition. And so, again, I can't ever thank you enough for that.
Yeah, we just want to thank Mike Lambert again for coming on. It was an honor to talk to him, and we appreciate all the years you put into the magazine, making it so great. And it's had a monumental effect on my life, and I'm sure it has on other lifters. I mean, it's really can't say enough about it. So we appreciate you coming on, and thank you.
Feelings mutual. I appreciate guys like yourself.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks. Guys, you're listening to Big Evil's Lair, and we will be back after these messages.